so fascinating being here in the mountains, being here in nature. The changing weather systems can be like the changing energy and changing moods of a human being. And one minute it's sunny, the next minute the sun's behind the cloud. One minute it gets super windy, and the next minute there's sort of a lull. And so I too experience these elements in my daily experience. And in life in general, we have seasons. We have seasons and cycles where we're maybe needing a lot of rest. And other times we are in the zone, creating, producing, being humans that are shaping and changing society at times. And sometimes we're very quiet. Sometimes we need to go deeply inward. And there's often a balance between the extrovert and the introvert. And the amount of people that I've met over the years that you would be very convinced were completely extroverted because of maybe social media or their work or their career, their jobs, very outward facing. The truth behind that is sometimes that they're extremely introverted, and they come out and they bloom like a flower, but then they need to go back inside, sometimes for extended periods of time. And I can be like that myself. There's parts of me that love writing and speaking and creating and communicating. And then there's a lot of parts of me that need quiet and stillness and solo time. And that's where I do my recalibrating. And the experience of being human is only really our internal experience, because only I can see through my eyes. Even though I do believe we are all one, we are very much connected to everything and everyone, whether we know it or not. And I still have my own, lens on things. I have my own views on things, my thoughts, my judgments, my opinions, especially of myself. And I've noticed this aspect sometimes outward in the world and communicating with other creators and people that are working at doing big things and have big goals and big dreams, as I do as well. And the amount of pressure that we can put on ourselves as people is sometimes crushing. It's huge. And it can really create a lot of internal disharmony, internal blockages, as we talk about in Chinese medicine, disturbances, imbalances, dysfunction in the immune system, dysfunction in the nervous system because of that pressure. And often it's our own mind and our own view of life in some way that this pressure can just crank down really, really intensely at times. And it can lead to fear, panic, anxiety, poor sleep, feeling really restless, feeling afraid, not always really sure which way to turn or what to do or what to say. And I just want to say in this communication right now, that's normal. That's actually a very, very common experience. And I used to hold all these things internally because I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want to share what my experience was. Even if I appeared happy outwardly, it didn't always mean that was the case. And how much we see this in our society now, that there's a lot of people leaving the planet through various means and mechanisms that we only find out maybe later how alone they felt, or we only find out later how much they were actually struggling internally if they never really shared and maybe never confided in or didn't feel safe to share with others in a healthy community. The amount of isolation that creates disturbance, it creates disease, it creates illness. It really does. All the different dynamics of the human body that can arise, they can often arise because of the pressure inwardly that is created right here in our minds. Our hearts know a story that's different. And one of the things that is so important to me, especially one of the reasons I'm doing events and retreats and I continue to work in the clinic, is connecting with people authentically, where I'm working at being as present as I possibly can so that it invites the people around me, patients, clients, retreat participants, that it invites them to be very present as well, so that maybe they can sit with those feelings and that they can also recognize with the people around them that others feel this too, that other people feel imposter syndrome all the time, that others might feel unworthy a lot of the time, but they may never speak about it. So right now, I am speaking about this, that I do feel self-doubt, plenty. I have fears, I have insecurities, I have inadequacies that roll through my mind on a regular basis. What has happened over the last bunch of years is learning how to dance with that and make them welcome in my body, where instead of pushing them down or trying to keep them away and lock them in a closet or lock them away from my own psyche, that energy doesn't go away. So rather than fighting it, it's bringing it in to feel what's there, getting support where needed, and speaking about it. And in this case, speaking about it to a large amount of people. And it does make me feel a little bit vulnerable to share that for a lot of my life, I have felt really alone, even around people. And many, many times I have felt very, very misunderstood. And I think there's a lot of times where I have felt misunderstood even by myself, that the amount of thoughts and things that can roll through my mind can be immense. There's a lot of activity in this brain, and learning how to work this human apparatus can be quite a challenge at times. So I want to speak to anybody that's listening here. That can happen, and it's okay. And you can make it through that, and you can work through that. And the more that we cultivate beautiful relationships with the people around us, the more they can assist and help hold what we're feeling. And I find when I share things like this, it helps open up vulnerability in the other people around me. And then they share also, hey, I feel that as well, Kevin. And when I first started sharing at a greater depth, other people would start sharing with me, and I was often surprised that they were feeling all kinds of things that they never spoke about, except in that moment. And that is actually what led to more connection and feeling less alone, because then we can relate to our fellow humans, that we're not perfect, that we all judge ourselves, that we struggle at times, that we're not always sure of our direction, and that it actually allows for a greater depth of feeling and a greater depth of experience being on this planet, that all of it is okay. The joy, the sadness, the grief, the anger, the rage, the self-doubt, the criticisms, both inwardly and outwardly, the amount of projection that sometimes we receive, especially if you have a voice that you're sharing in the world, it can be scary because there might be a lot of projection coming back at you. There's waves. But when you begin to know yourself more, the waves don't affect you so much. I'm not saying that they don't affect me. They do. I'm very human. It's just less over time, because I feel more at home in my own body and in my own heart, and that I know I'm here to create an impact. And I felt that from a very early age, even though it was confusing for me at times. I felt this well of energy within that was, it's an inner voice almost, that, Kevin, you're here to do something important. What even is that? And I think I struggled with that for a long time because I didn't know what that was, but I felt the energy of it. And even as I say that, this huge gust of wind is blowing right now through me. And it's like, yeah, nature also is mirroring that. Sometimes there's a huge energy surge that comes through you and we don't always know what to do with it. So as we gain more skills, more tools, as we grow and as we mature and have more interactions with the world around us, we can see from a higher viewpoint, a higher perspective when we slow down, when we get quiet. And this is why I love being in nature and allowing things to just move through me in an organic way, because it helps me find myself. And when I speak, it helps me actually get clear that I do need to verbalize at times, even to understand what is trying to come through me. I hope this is landing for those of you that are connecting in here as well, that it gives you permission to be human. It gives you permission to be raw and messy sometimes, to be open and to be vulnerable, to be in the discomfort. It's all very normal, that we make mistakes at times and then we get to learn from it. There's things I would like to go back and have a redo at, but because I can't do that, I can do it in every step that I make every day moving forward, to be a little better, even 1%, to be kinder to myself, to be kinder to others, to know that so many others are having a shared experience, even if they don't outwardly say it or put words to it, that we can sense and feel that with one another. And if we're coming into that space as new humans, it's going to change the world. It's going to change the planet. And even if this doesn't land for everybody, that's okay, because it's landing for me right now in this moment. And I feel really grateful that I can use my voice more. It can create impact. It can meet people where they're at. It can connect with the heart of others when it comes through my heart. So many blessings on your journey, wherever this finds you. Congratulations on being human. and live in this experience fully. Bye for now.